What is going on, peasants? My name is JB, and we are back here today with a Pokemon Unite tier list. We're going to be going over the recent patch to the game just a few days ago and discussing the current meta and where things stand in my personal opinion. Now, if you don't agree with this, that's totally fine. I understand. It's okay to have wrong opinions. Everyone has them, but mine are perfect and yours aren't. Okay, now that I'm done joking, you can obviously win and do well with any character, but you know, some characters are just better than others, and that's just a fact that we all have to live with. Other than that, though, mostly going to be focused on solo, duo, trio because that's all I play. I will interject some tournament stuff whenever I have knowledge of it, but other than that, I think we're just ready to dive on in when we going over battle items and held items, which also got changes at the end of the video. So if you just want to skip ahead to that, that will be towards the end. We're going to start off with Speedsters because that's just what I decided to do. So looking at these Pokemon, we'll go ahead and grab our friend Gengar here. I think Gengar is middle of the road, which is our Thanos here. Actually, just looking at stairs, we have explain, get it EX, because you know the EX thing, why these are so broken. This is our S tier. We have admit it, your main is here. This is the A tier. These are really good Pokemon. We have our Anna Banana tier, which is A minus B plus. These are characters that are really good, but for some reason or another just don't stack up to the Pokemon ahead of them. We have our Thanos tier, which is perfectly balanced as all things could be, or should be, whatever the quote is. It's basically the B tier. It's the middle of the road. These Pokemon are mid. They're fine. You can carry with them, but there's absolutely nothing special about them. We have to consider other choices tier, which are Pokemon that are not the best, but could be worse. And then we have the don't tier, which is only reserved for the worst Pokemon in the game, which I don't even know what I'm going to put there if there is anything in the D tier this one. But yeah, going back to Gengar, it's a good character that requires a lot of levels and a lot of experience to be good. But if you have a level lead on it, you can snowball. It's a carry Pokemon. You can do well with it, but there are definitely better carry Pokemon, and there's absolutely nothing that stands out about Gengar compared to other speedsters, other special attack carries. So I think Gengar is perfectly fine, perfectly solid in the B tier. Although I will say, for whatever reason, I've been playing it a ton lately, or I've been playing against it a ton lately, I should say, like so much. I don't understand, like, you would make it, like, whatever the pick rate for Gengar is, most of those are in my game for what I don't understand it. So next up we have Absol. Was Absol this patch or last patch? I think Absol was last patch. I think Absol is sitting in an A minus B plus range. It's a good Pokemon that can definitely perform very well and is doing pretty okay. It's a lane bully early. It's a good jungler. Always has a really strong gank. I think pretty much every build is viable for it, even though I think Pursuit is bad. Just walk towards it and you can't do anything about it to you. I also am not a huge fan of Sucker Punch because just don't press the A button or don't press your abilities and it literally doesn't hurt you. So I do love the Night Slash Psycho Cut build, but you know, most people will just brainlessly attack an Absol and don't know how to counterplay Pursuit or Sucker Punch. But so it does get some value and it is a very strong build, but I don't know, I'm never really personally scared of that build. Moving on to Zeraora. Zeraora is definitely the worst speedster, which feels weird to say. When they finally gave Zeraora its level up changes, I thought this Pokemon was going to be so freaking good, and it just ended up being mid. I don't think Zeraora is D tier, but I definitely think it is the weakest speedster at the moment. You can argue between that and Gengar. So you can technically move Zeraora up, but I do think it is kind of a rung below a good Gengar. Like if you're getting like peak Gengar and peak Zeraora, which one would I rather have? I'd rather have the Gengar because it just provides more. Although Zeraora is very good and Wild Charge is still unbelievably broken. I'm going to stand by that take. Wild Charge is so broken, but people play Discharge most of the time, so I guess it's okay. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of where Zera is right now. It needs just a little something extra. I don't know what it is, but it just feels slightly underwhelming. And then these next three, we'll save Talon for the end. These are all at least A tier. Dodrio is one of the highest skill intensive Pokemon in the game, but it also has, you know, some of the highest skill expression. If you're good at Dodrio, you are very good at Dodrio. But even still, as long as you aren't getting hit by, well, I guess technically everything in the game, you're doing pretty well. I think Dodrio is a phenomenal carry, but you have to be good at it to get a lot of value out of it. So I think it's definitely an A tier Pokemon. You can talk me into S, but I do think Zoroark is still an S tier Pokemon. It's so good. Everything I said about needing to be good at Dodrio, and if you're good at Dodrio, you're really good at it. Same thing with Zoroark, but even more. Zoroark might be the most skill intensive Pokemon in the game, in my opinion. It's one of the hardest Pokemon to get value out of, but people who are good at Zoroark are just a step above everyone else. Like, Zoroark players are unbelievable with what they can pull off. But yeah, it's phenomenal. And then Leafeon still has incredibly high burst damage. It still gets Unite move almost all the time. I think Solar Blade is very good. Razor Leaf is very good. Although I will say Solar Blade is probably better. The Razor Leaf nerfs a while back are kind of catching up to it in terms of just overall damage, but I still think Glaceon is really, really good, so we're going to put it in the A tier. Now, Talonflame got itself a bit of a buff. It has now just more attack all throughout the game, which is a good thing. It has a buff to Aerial Ace's overall damage. It's, you know, stacking its ratio, as well as just its base damage went up. So it's still the most misplayed Pokemon in the game. And if you're asking me whether you should play it, no, you shouldn't play it. I think Talonflame is played worse than any other character in the game. The people who play Talonflame, you know how I said what I said about Dojo and Zoroark? It's the exact opposite for Talonflame. There is no such thing as a good Talonflame player. All Talonflame players are bad. That being said, I think the character, if you play it properly and use Fly to hit things, because if you didn't know, I'm willing to bet most of you who play Talonflame don't know this. If you land Fly on enemy Pokemon, you lower your cooldown so you can use Fly more often. Most people don't know that. Most people just use Fly, maybe land near someone and run away. Or just use Fly to run away after they ult in. Like, Talonflame players are insane. I'm not, you know, breaking news here, but I'm gonna put it C. You could talk me into B if it's a really good Talonflame. I think Brave Bird Aerial Ace is actually a really good build, but it doesn't get played. It's still flat. I think Fly is probably still better, but yeah, I still think it's the worst played character in the game, so I'm giving it D tier or C tier. But the player base is like so far off the screen, it's not even funny. All right, we'll do supporters next. Okay, supporters. We'll start with Comfey because it's the easiest. It's broken. So broken. It didn't get a buff or anything recently. It's just overpowered. What it does just makes problem Pokemon more of a problem. And I'm not looking forward to Miraidon in a couple months. You know, I'm not looking forward to Miraidon Comfey. I'm not looking forward to anything on a Comfey. And the thing I hate especially the most is people who trio Comfey plus 2 carries. It's so disgusting. Ban Trio Q. That's a different discussion though. Yeah, I hate Comfey. It's the worst thing they've ever added to the game. It's completely overpowered and just broken on a game design level, not even like a stats or anything else level or moves level. It's just broken on a game design level. So S tier. Hoopa, also probably S tier. I'm gonna give it A because we are talking about solo, duo, trio play. If you're talking 5-stack, it's the best support in the game still. I've left Eldegoss off. Where's my LD? Where's my Eldegoss? There's the Eldegoss. Okay. But yeah, since we're talking about solo, duo, trio, I'm gonna give Hoopa A tier because I've literally in one of my last videos, I don't remember which one it was. I think it was my Glaceon video. There was a Venusaur standing right next to a portal on the enemy team, and instead of walking in the portal and being full health, it decided to just walk away from 5 people and died. It was standing like literally on top of a portal. That's why Hoopa is A tier, and yeah, I can't put it any lower than that because it's a phenomenal Pokemon, but people just don't play with the portals. If a Hoopa drops a portal on top of you, fucking go in it. Hoopa players are some of the best players in the game. I say as a Hoopa player, but bro, like if a Hoopa is dropping a portal underneath you, that means you need to leave. Take the portal. 9 times out of 10. Sometimes your Hoopas troll you, but those aren't, you know, the Hoopas we're talking about. If your Hoopa has a badge, trust them with your life. Okay, Eldegoss. We'll go ahead and get Eldegoss out of the way. No, we'll do... Let's go ahead and talk about Blissey. I think Blissey is still phenomenal. You can talk me into S tier, and I think I will give it S tier still. Helping Hand and Safeguard did get nerfed a couple patches ago, but it's still a very good build. It still has one of the best Unite moves in the game. Oh, and did I mention that the healing is insane? Soft Boiled was always the better build. It's just Mewtwo Y made Helping Hand broken, and Soft Boiled hasn't changed. It still heals a ton. The best single target healing in the game. So yeah, if you just want to play a pure healer, Blissey is still phenomenal, especially in solo, duo, trio. Wiggly. Wiggly is C tier at best, and this is another thing I've been saying for a while now, is the best thing the game can do for Wigglytuff is raise its defense stats, both of them, and changes its role to defender, because Wigglytuff is not a support in any way, shape, or form. The only thing it does that supports is give a shield with its Unite move, which could work perfectly fine for a defender Unite move as well. So yeah, it's time to make Wigglytuff a defender, or give it some way to give shields with its kit. Because as it stands, sleeping things just isn't enough of a support, and then rollout is awful. Rollout needs to be completely reworked, or you know, it might help with the remote stadium. Like coming back, rollout might be better there because it is better there. There are more walls, there are more choke points that are actually usable for that. So maybe hold off on reworking rollout, but it needs its role change regardless. Also, which speaking of remote stadium, Not my next video. Well, maybe my next video. Depends on when it comes out. It's not going to be tomorrow, but maybe the day after that. I'm going to make a remote stadium refresh course, basically, for people who maybe haven't played remote stadium in a while, or maybe have never played remote stadium for a while, because as El Chico EV has leaked, it is going to be coming back to the game soon, and I want people to understand how that map works. So I'm going to be making a video on that. So if you're curious, you know, be sure to come back for that. Like, subscribe, do all that sort of nonsense. Let's go ahead and talk about Mr. Mime. I think Mr. Mime is in a pretty good place. It does a lot of stunning. That's kind of all it does. It stuns a lot. You know, Confusion's still very good. Power Swap Psychic is good. Good barriers. Good slamming people in the wall. Really good Unite move. There's just nothing special about it, in my opinion. Clefable, easily A. You could talk me into S, just because it heals a ton. Best pure healer in the game. Draining Kiss did get buffed, but as much as I love the build personally, all it did is heal you more. What it needs to do is heal you regardless of if there's a teammate next to you. Maybe it could heal your teammate more than you, but Clefable should still get healing from Draining Kiss regardless of if people are near you, because as it stands, your teammates can essentially grief your healing if they just walk up next to you. Like if you're, like, let's just say half health and Altarias are spawning, and your teammate who just gets one hit by the Altaria and you press Draining Kiss, it's going to heal your teammate instead of you. I mean, you still get some healing. I believe there's like some trickle down, but for the most part, like in team fights, Draining Kiss doesn't really heal Clefable, and it should heal Clefable too. So yeah, Sableye, honestly, it might be one of the worst Pokemon in the game right now, but it's also still incredibly annoying and incredibly broken. So I'm going to give it C tier, but Sableye can still do some disgusting things. Like, it's still the most annoying Pokemon to play against, and if it weren't for Comfey just existing on a fundamental level, Sableye would be my most hated release of all time. I hate it. It's so disgusting. Eldegoss. So Eldegoss got a Pollen Puff nerf to its healing. Its ratio went down basically 25% and 50 from the base healing. Yeah, it's still incredibly good. It just means you get to play Leaf Tornado again, which is one of my favorite moves in the game. But even still, Pollen Puff is still great. It's really good AoE healing. Probably the second best AoE. It's easily the second best AoE healing in the game aside from Clefable. I guess if you count Hoopa as AoE healing, then it's not, but I'm not counting that. Yeah, it's very good. Great damage. Attacker, support hybrid. Love Eldegoss. It's my favorite Pokemon to play. One of them easily. So giving that guy A tier or S tier still. I think it's so good. So next up, we're going to look at defenders, starting with Big Bad Snorlax. And Snorlax, it's B. In Solo Duo Trio, in 5 stacks, you could argue it's a little bit higher, but honestly, I wouldn't even say that, really. I think it's a fine B tier character. Flail is a meme, but it can carry, but I wouldn't recommend you ever do that. But if you're so inclined, sure. Yeah, block Yawn is good. Yawn is one of the best moves in the game. Unite move is fine. Good stun on it, good healing. Like, there's just nothing special about Snorlax. There are better defenders than Snorlax, and I don't really think that's controversial to say, but it's not bad in any way. Next up is Crustle. I think Crustle is A-B+. It's in a pretty good place. Does a lot of damage. All of its moves are good. One of the best Unite moves in the game still. I think it's just a step above for solo queue. It's just a pure, like, you can get away with carrying more on Crustle than you can, whereas Snorlax is a mere pure defender, which is what I was trying to say, but I can't speak. You'd think at some point when I do YouTube full-time, not necessarily full-time, but you know what I mean, like, I would be able to talk. At some point, I would figure out words. Hasn't happened yet. I don't know if it ever will. Trevenant. I think Trevenant is A tier. It's the best carry defender, except for this thing. Second best carry defender. It's up there with these guys. It's very good. You heal a ton. You do a lot of stuns. You do a lot of damage. I love Tree. Goodra, I think, is a step below Tree. I think it's a better solo queue Pokemon than a team Pokemon, although, you know, some teams do end up playing Goodra every now and then. You can talk me into Goodra B tier. If it's up here, it's very low B+. So it'd be like at the bottom of this tier. And the more I think about it, I'm gonna give Goodra B+. I do think it is just, if we're talking about solo duo trio, it is a better carry. You can do more in a game than you can on Snorlax 90% of the time. You just have more damage, you have more survivability, you have a better Unite move. I like Goodra more in solo queue, so it's A-B+. Lapras is still borderline S tier. The nerf a couple patches ago really only hurt its damage, which, yeah, was needed. I think you can still justify Lapras S. I'm gonna give it S. It's S tier. Yeah, definitely still S. Maybe not S tier in 5 stacks because it doesn't get played as much, but Lapras is S. We're leaving it there. Umbreon, also S tier. Definitely S tier in professional meta. It is the best defender right now, even though it's played in support role as well. All of its moves are still viable. Foul play is good. Mean Look is remember when I said when Umbreon first came out that Mean Look was going to be the most broken thing in the game at one point, and on release Foul Play was actually better? Yeah, the nerf Foul Play and Mean Look is the most disgustingly annoying thing in the game, and I was right. Just listen to me when I say things. Typically my takes are rock solid and I'm right about most things, especially when what's going to be broken, and Mean Look is broken, which is very good too, especially for solo queue. It's a very good healer support hybrid, or healer defender hybrid, support defender hybrid. There we go, I nailed the correct vernacular eventually, and it's great. Really good Unite move as well. Blastoise. Blastoise is maybe the biggest winner of this last patch, getting to evolve at level 7 now, and it's great. It's a fantastic solo queue Pokemon. You can carry very hard with the Rapid Spin Water Spell build. Hell, you can even carry with Hydro Pump and Surf, which makes it very good. In competitive play, it is played as more of an attacker slash top lane carry, so yeah, it's great in all facets of the game. Blastoise was a huge winner of the patch. Mamoswine. I think Mamoswine is honestly kind of right here. The only thing holding Mamoswine back is the fact that it evolves at level 9. Make Mamoswine Gudra. Yeah, you know, we're gonna leave Mamoswine here just so I can get across the make Mamoswine Gudra. Give Mamoswine evolution at level 8. There's no reason it should be level 9. It's not a pseudo legendary after all. The pseudos all evolve at level 9 except for Gudra, which it further makes my point. Make Mamoswine Gudra. Just let it evolve into Mamo at level 8. That'd be a great buff for Mamoswine. But even as it stands, Piloswine isn't bad because you have both of your moves. You just get a big stat buff at level 9, obviously. So, yeah. Good carry, good defender, a lot of stuns. Love me some ammo. Slowbro. So the Amnesia nerf a while back. Or no, was that this patch? Was the Amnesia nerf? Yeah, the Amnesia nerf was this patch. Yeah. Okay, I couldn't find it. So you lost a good amount of Oblivious Recovery, about 5%, and you also lost some defense increases from Amnesia and Amnesia Plus. You lost 50 defense from regular Amnesia, and you lose 25 special defense from Amnesia Plus. So you're not as tanky on the Amnesia build, and you heal less, which is probably a good thing. Slowbro needed some nerfs, and it's definitely still S tier in 5 stacking, I believe. I don't think much has changed there. But in solo queue, you're a little bit less tanky, so I'll give it a notch down from these guys just because you don't have quite the same sustainability as you used to, but you still have the best Unite move in the game. You still do a lot of damage with both of your attacks, and Telekinesis is a really fun build if your teammates look at it. The only problem with that move is your teammates don't look at it. But if they do, you're eating good with Slowbro. I forgot Greedent. Greedent is B tier. It's basically Sableye, but better. It does more damage than Sableye, but less stuns. I think Greedent's actually a little bit underrated. I think Bullet Seed is pretty good, but you do just kind of die if you're not like doing well. I don't know. Greedent's not. I don't think Greedent's down here, but I don't. Yeah, is Greedent down here? Yeah, Greedent's probably the worst defender in the game. It honestly might be one of the worst Pokemon in the game, but I don't want to see them buff it. I think it's kind of fine. It's just in a bad meta right now. Yeah, we'll give Greedent C tier. Bullet Seed is good though. This tier list has Hoopa Unite listed as an attacker. That's funny. All right, next up we have our attackers. So let's go ahead and get this one out of the way. Most broken Pokemon in the game. It's Inteleon. So yeah, Inteleon's broken. S tier. Nerf it. But this, okay. Let me go on a little bit of a rant actually about that. People who are like mad at the devs for not nerfing Inteleon while it has a battle pass going, are you kidding me? Why are you surprised by that at this point? It happens pretty much every time there's a battle pass out. Happened with Zacian, happened with Mewtwo. The events for those guys, we were like, oh, hey, nerf it immediately. But they nerfed it after the event ended. They're not going to nerf a Pokemon while it has an event actively going on. Why are people surprised by that? Just stop being surprised by it. But I'm not saying Inteleon doesn't need nerfed. I'm just saying the fact that you thought it was going to get nerfed while it has an event going is a little bit insane. All right, moving on. We'll do Cinderace. I think Cinderace is B to B+. I think Cinderace is better than Greninja. We'll do Greninja next. I think Greninja is probably C tier. You can talk me into Greninja being one of the bottom Pokemon in the game, honestly. But I've also played Greninja recently, and it felt fine. It's just I don't see it ever, and when I do see it, it's useless. But like, trust me, they are out there. Good Greninja players are still doing just fine with Greninja. It's just, the average Greninja, the one you see 9 times out of 10, is just throwing games right now. But I don't think the Pokemon is that bad. I think it's just right there with Talonflame, with the worst player base in the game, if not even worse than Talonflame. Greninja players are awful, but I don't think the Pokemon is that bad. We'll do Duraludon next. We'll just get the ADCs out of the way. Duraludon is mid as hell. I think it's borderline bad. You guys, if you've been around the channel for a minute, you know how I don't care for this Pokemon and think it's completely overrated. I think Flashkin is the worst build in the game, but I digress. Decidueye. I think Decidueye is A tier. Fight me if you want. I think it's better than Cinder. I think it's, that's not like a controversial statement. I also think it's good in lane. Like, Spirit Shackle is phenomenal, secure, good Unite move. Everything about the Decidueye is just good. The only bad thing about the Decidueye is, you know, these characters exist. That is the only bad thing about the Decidueye, is divers exist. We haven't got to the all-arounders, but yeah. That's the only bad thing about the Decidueye. You just get one shot. Other than that, though, it's a very, 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 very good Pokemon. And then Pulse. Pulse tough, because a good Dragon Dance matchup, you absolutely dominate. If the characters don't have anything that can hit you, you're broken as hell. But most of the time, people will have like a Mean Look Umbreon or a Psyshock Espeon or just something that has like a sure hit. There's a million sure hits in the game. Like, Inteleon will just kill you. So I'll give Dragapult C tier, but in the right matchups, it's pretty unstoppable most of the time. So yeah, we'll go C tier. But again, it's more a meta thing like Greedent than it is the character being bad, I think. I could be wrong about that. Yeah, you're still broken. The A button still works, so still S tier. Don't need to talk about you too much. Cram is borderline A. We'll give Cram B tier, or A minus B plus. I think it's really good, very strong, but all of his builds are good. Its Unite move is good. I just think there are better mages than Cram. That's the only thing keeping it out of A tier for me, personally. Ninetales, same exact. Everything I said about Cram, ditto. Everything about it's good. It's just there are better mages, better lane attackers than Ninetales. That's the only thing keeping it out of A tier. But if you want to put it there, I won't argue with you. It's very, very good. Venusaur, it's S tier. You get a big stat buff evolving at level 7, which is nice. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You don't have to wait until level 9 to be fully evolved. You get a big stat increase at level 7. It makes it an even more viable jungler now, even though what is already one of the better junglers in the game. And even though I got a lot of shit for it, Petal Dance is still a very disgustingly good build. Still very, very good, even though anti-heal items exist. Tell me the last time you saw a team with more than one anti-heal item. All waits. No one runs them. Petal Dance is such a good carry build, but Solar Beam is also phenomenal. Everything about Venusaur is great. One of the best Unite moves in the game. So much damage. It's S tier in my opinion. Pika. I'm gonna give Pika B tier simply because it stuns a lot and it gets Unite move all the time. That's more valuable than other Pokemon, and yeah, stuns are good, damage is good. B tier. But I think it's just slightly a step below these guys, but it's still good. Gardevoir. I'm willing to give Guardy A, with the caveat that it's played in jungle. Lane Gardevoir is don't do it personally, but if you have an EXP share partner, if you're playing with friends and you have EXP share, I guess you can get away with it. So I'll compromise to give it A minus B plus. Because if you do get jungle, I think it's a very, 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 very good jungler. It just does some of the most raw, just straight up damage in the game, and it's really fun. Stuns a lot, just a lot of damage, good Unite move, great Pokemon. Gardevoir's good, just played in jungle. Sylveon, also A minus B plus, not a bad thing about it. Heals a lot, does a lot of damage. Next, Espeon. Does a lot of damage, does a lot of stuns. Next. Oh my gosh, Delphox, A tier. Does a lot of damage, has a really good Unite move. All of its builds are really good. Yep. I know I'm really just kind of memeing these, but like, these characters are just very good. The Slick Spoon nerf didn't hurt them, spoiler alert. Mages are incredibly overpowered. So yeah, speaking of incredibly overpowered, they broke Glaceon again. Is anyone surprised? Did not need a buff in the slightest. I don't know why. I still don't understand how it had the lowest win rate. It was never bad. It's never been bad. It was just a weird week, I guess, when it had the lowest win rate that 1 week. And it gets a massive buff to its attack speed now for literally no reason. Mew. I'm gonna give Mew A tier with the distinction that Solo Q exists, and sometimes there are bad Mews, but much like Dodrio and Zoroark before it, and any other Pokemon I might have given that caveat to, a good Mew, it will carry a game. A good Mew is very good. So yeah, Mew is great. And then for Chandelure, I think it's pretty on par with what I said about Gardevoir, except you can get away with Chandelure more in lane than you can Guardy. I think Shandy is a fine laner and just does a piss load of damage. The flamethrower buff is very nice. That was my last video. If you missed that, go check it out. You do a boatload of damage. The only bad thing about Chandelure is its Unite move. It's one of the worst Unite moves in the game and get canceled by passives. Why can a Unite move get canceled by a passive ability? I don't know, but it does, and I hate it. Everything else about Chandelure, though, is great. Very, very high damage output. Okay, next up we have our all-arounders. Let's go ahead and get a couple of them just out of the way immediately. No controversy here. Still broken, still incredibly good. Did they get nerfed? I can't tell. So go ahead and put them up there. Next, Garchomp. I think Garchomp is a Dragon Garchomp jungle. Like, we're talking A tier. Lane Garchomp, we're talking A minus B plus. Ground Garchomp, we're talking B. I'll give it A minus B plus. I think Ground Garchomp is bad. I know it has a lot of likers, but it's not awful, but I just don't like it. Dig is terrible. But Dragon Garchomp, very good. Best auto attacks in the game, up there. Anyway, you know what I mean. It's some of the best auto attacks in the game. Very strong, very powerful, does lots of damage, very tanky, very healy. Don't play Drain Crown. All right. What else do we have? We'll do Machamp next, because you're the next guy in order. Same tier, very high damage output. Submission is awful. Submission is like borderline worst move in the game. Don't play submission, but Dynamic Punch is great. Cross Chop and Close Combat are both good. One of the best Unite moves in the game. A minus B plus, easy. Lucario, I think Lucario is B. There's nothing wrong with Lucario. It's just there are better all-arounders than it. Plain and simple. Okay. Next up, we have Charizard. Now, Charizard, for the longest time, for the last couple of tier lists anyway, I had it in the don't tier. I thought Charizard was one of the worst Pokemon in the game, if not the worst Pokemon in the game. Now it evolves to level 7, and it's not much better. I'll give it B tier just because you can lane with it now effectively, and you do get your, get online 2 levels earlier. I'll give it a little bit of a bump to being the most mid of mid. Its Unite move is still terrible. I don't understand why people think its Unite move is good. Yes, you get to use it a lot, and yes, you can kill some squishies with it, but if there aren't squishies around, or if the squishies just so happen to be this guy or this guy's not a squishy. If it just happens to be this guy or this guy, you're wasting your Unite move. Or if anything has like a full heal, or I don't know, it's just, its Unite move is bad. It does good damage if you can land it on a backline, but that doesn't happen as often as you think. At least in good high-level Pokemon Unite. So yeah, it's not good, but it's better than it was. So B tier, just the compromise, because I don't want to get yelled at for putting it in C tier, even though it sucks. C for sucks. No. Serena, everything I said about Lucario, it's fine. Still a little bit squishy, but they're better all-arounders. Dragonite, I think Dragonite is A minus B plus. I think it's very solid. Hyper Beam is still great, secure. Outrage does a boatload of damage. Extreme Speed is underrated because it can pop passives. It can just, it's a nice stun. Don't play Outrage Hyper Beam, obviously, or Extreme Speed Hyper Beam, but Outrage is fine with either build. Its Unite move is still terrible, but it might be making a comeback with the Remote Stadium. We'll see. Or even the Goal Getter buff. But yeah, Dragonite, I think it's fine. Aegislash. AG's tough. Because in some veins, everything I said about Lucario and Serena, but it does have a little bit higher carry potential, so I will give it a little bit of a bump above those guys. But if you want to argue for B tier, that's fine. I wouldn't go any higher than B plus. I will. Lucario has just as good a secure, a better Unite move. I could bump Lucario up, but I do think all of these characters are better than Lucario, so I think it's a lot closer to Lucario than it is to Machamp or Garchomp. So I don't know. Aegislash mains already don't like me. No matter how well I play on it, no matter how good my Aegislash gameplay is, it's still dog shit. I'm awful at the Pokemon. So you know what? Just because Aegislash players are toxic to me, your character sucks. No, I'll be genuine. It's B tier, but yeah. Let's see. Azu. Azu is better than these Pokemon early, but it's worse than them late. So like, I don't want to put it up here with these guys. It's because in most scenarios, I'd rather I want all of these Pokemon past level 10 more than I want Azu, but early game I want Azu more than pretty much any of them. So, just for that early game dominance, I will give it a slight increase above these guys, but it's not, yeah, no, No, I'm putting them all in B tier. The all-arounders are basically all B tier, except for this guy. Buzzwole is borderline S. I wouldn't even argue with you if you put Buzzwole S. It had like a couple of weeks there during Mewtwo Y where it kind of fell off, but a lot of CC, so much damage, really good Unite move if you can land it. Leech Life is a meme, but a lot of people like it. Play it if you want. I would recommend it. Yeah, it's just a ton of CC, ton of damage. Very good Pokemon. Good all throughout the game. Dominant early. As soon as you get your moves online, dominant. As soon as you get level 13, great late game as well. Yeah, great Pokemon. T-Tar is B tier simply because it evolves at level 9. If it evolved earlier or if it wasn't as hard to get level 9, it'd be higher, but I can't really justify it when I have seen how many lame Puppetars still be a Pupitar at 4 minutes and 16 seconds. You know, they're just hitting Tyranitar at 3 minutes and 45 seconds or something. Like, yeah. When you're spending over half of the game as your middle evolution, I can't justify putting you on the same playing field as other Pokemon. Let's see. Which is weird because Garchomp is essentially just as useless. Well, Gabite is way better than Pupitar. That's a lot to do with, but yeah. Here's a nice little buff for Tyranitar. I see a lot of Stone Edge Tyranitar in my games. You know how a long time ago, when you flamethrowered on Charizard, you just stood still and like you couldn't move, but now you can cast flamethrower and move around. Make Stone Edge do that. Let Tyranitar move and cast Stone Edge. That'd be a nice buff. Scizor. Scizor. With the right matchup, it's on par with these guys. With the bad matchup, like, I feel like Scizor gets bullied more by Inteleon and other special attackers than these guys. But I've seen Scizor just be fine in some games, so I'll give it B, but you can talk me into C for it. Scyther, same thing. You can talk me into B or C. It's a speedster, obviously. It's more assassin-y, but yeah, it's fine. Right matchup, you'll do well. Wrong matchup, you're useless. Not a lot to see there. Okay, next up we have Urshifu. Dark Bear, I will give very high in this tier. Dark Bear is very good. One of the best secures in the game. Incredibly strong. Yeah, just all around great, but, you know, just kind of a step below. Water Bear, even after the damage nerf, still very, very strong. Great carry Pokemon, still one of the best level 5s in the game, just not as broken, which is a good thing. Blaziken, this is gonna rustle some jimmies. I'll put it B+. That's the best I can give you. I don't think it's good. I think people misconstrue high skill ceiling with, oh my god, it's so broken. No, it's just good players are good. Like, I've seen some useless Blazikens. I think its kit is just kind of counterintuitive. Like, you want to be able to use Focus Blast and... Like, I just don't like Overheat, is basically what it boils down to. Let me retract that Focus Blast thing. Like, I love Fire Punch. I love Blaze Kick. Focus Blast is cool. But Overheat just doesn't fit with this. Like, a good player is never going to get hit by an Overheat. Like, you can just walk out of it. Like, it's the easiest move to kite in the game. If for that reason, I can't give it anything higher, but I recognize, yeah, it does a ton of damage and it's a very good secure. But that's all Overheat is. Like, I don't know. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. If you like it, if you enjoy playing it, of course, by all means, play the hell out of it. I'm not going to tell you not to play it. I just don't think it's as good as people make it out to be. That's all. And then last and certainly not least, we have Mimikyu, and Mimikyu is S tier. If you watched my last tier list a few weeks ago, I already had Mimikyu S tier before they buffed it. And then they went ahead and buffed both Shadow Claw and Play Rough. Now, all they needed to do, I agree, Play Rough needed a little bit of a buff. It was kind of bad, but they didn't need to do all they did to it. What they did was they gave it a complete invulnerability on a really low cooldown. I don't understand why they did that. All they needed to do was give it hinders resistance. That would have been more than enough of a buff. Or if you wanted to really buff it, Unstoppable would have been crazy. Instead, they gave it complete invulnerability. I don't know why. I don't understand it. Oh, did I mention they also buffed Shadow Claw's damage, and Shadow Claw was already really good. Trick Room is still bad. I wouldn't really recommend it. But yeah, Mimikyu is insanely broken, disgustingly good, and I don't like it. So if we were talking best Pokemon in the game, I think it's Inteleon. I'm not going to make a God tier because I don't want to do my screen again, but I think Inteleon's the best Pokemon in the game. Mimikyu's right there. Obviously, these guys are still broken as well. Glaceon is up there as well. So if we had to order them, it'd be probably something like this. Probably that. Yeah, probably that in terms of the top 5, and then honestly Zoroark is probably next. So yeah, that's the that's my list. If you agree, let me know what you agree with. If you don't, let me know what you don't agree with. Oh wait, I forgot to do the items. Let's do held items. Oh yeah, Yeah, let's see that. Okay, I went ahead and plopped the items into a tier list. We'll go ahead and talk about the ones that got changed. I don't know what this is. Is this supposed to be just like the in-game coins? I have no idea. But just quickly to run through the tiers, X-Speed is right there with Inteleon, the most broken thing in the game. I hate X-Speed. You guys know this if you watch me. Rapid Fire Scarf is still incredible. Nothing changed about it. Very good on a lot of Pokemon. EXP Share is the best item in the game, so we'll go ahead and give it that distinction for what it does. Like I'm seeing this resurgence of people refusing to play EXP Share and Solo Queue. Stop. You're literally throwing. I don't care if your teammates are bad. You're playing support or defender. It's not your job to worry about that. If you're gonna be that kind of person, just be the kind of person who runs a third attack or fourth attacker or a third all-arounder or whatever. Just be that person. Don't be the kind of person who's gonna not run EXP Share on an Eldegoss because you're not worried about your teammates carrying. Like, you're not realistically gonna carry that many games with Eldegoss where, you know, having a good teammate, let's say 50% of the time, you're screwing yourself. So just run EXP Share on your supports and stop being a pansy. Like, just stop. EXP Share is broken. Run it. It's good for a reason. Okay, rant over. Muscle Band still gives you a lot of damage on auto attack, so very good. Curse Incense, incredible on AoE mages, very good. Eject Button, I was gonna talk about this with the other items I got nerfed, I forgot to take out. It's still very good. Like, it's a 5-second cooldown. Like, yeah, you can use it like what, maybe one less time per game. Probably not even. Like, let's be real, most of the time your eject button is up for more than 5 seconds before using it again anyway. So yeah, it's still very good. It's not quite as good as X-Speed. X-Speed is eject button and full heal in one item. That's why X-Speed is broken. Full heal, again, cooldown nerf. It's, yeah, I think it's one of the stupidest things they have ever done. Like, full heal, if anything, needed a cooldown reduction, not a cooldown raise. So it's a horrible nerf. Again, like, they did not need to do it the first time. They did it months and months ago, maybe even a year ago at this point. But then they did it again for literally no reason. Potion is just good on everything. Like, there are better items, but Potion is just, it's good, plain and simple. Specs, all these items just very usable on the Pokemon that they're good on. Yeah, let's just go ahead and talk about the Pokemon, the items that got changed. So Drain Crown would be the 4th best item on a lot of Pokemon, but as it stands, I think Drain Crown is still pretty terrible. They need to give it even more lifesteal if they want it to be good, or more of an attack buff, because I believe it gives you a less flat attack than weakness policy, which is a better effect on everything. Like, I would rather have the extra damage than the extra healing, because a lot of Pokemon, the more damage they do, the more they heal anyway. Like, people are always like, oh, run Drain Crown Garchomp. Well, first off, no, I'm running Rapid Fire Scarf and Scope on that, but because that's the most damage you can do on Garchomp. But if I were to run a different item on Garchomp, I would rather have weakness policy, because it's more damage, and the more damage I'm doing, the more I'm healing with my auto attacks on Garchomp. Like, yeah, you get more healing, but I'd rather have more damage and kill things fast. Like, Drain Crown is just not good. It's fun. There are like some niche thing, like Razor Leaf Decidui, you can get away with it on. Like, I don't know. Like, technically, theoretically, you can use it on Garchomp, but as a Garchomp main myself, I can promise you it is not good on Garchomp. Run Scarf, run Muscle, run Focus, run Scope Lens. Just Drain Crown is not good on Garchomp. And that's like the main thing I see people saying you should run it on. Leftovers. Listen, I'm kind of a believer in Leftovers. Like, past level 10 and 11, it's like 350 healing a tick, which is not nothing. Like, it allows you to stay in fights, you know, allows you to have better positioning. But if I'm being realistic, it's still one of the worst items in the game, simply because of the out of combat. But caveat, like, you have to be out of combat for 6 seconds. If it were 2 or 3 seconds, Leftovers would be an incredible item, which, call me crazy, I don't think would be a bad thing. Yeah, but I kind of like it, dude. I know I'm trolling, but like, you know, being able to have good positioning on a defender like Goodra, like being able to just walk into a bush and have vision for your team and know that you're gonna heal, like, know that you never have to base, essentially. Like, there's kind of something to that. I'm just saying. Focus Band, still one of the best items in the game. The nerf did not affect it. Speaking of things that nerf did not affect, Slick Spin is still very good. And then we have these two things. Slow Smoke I'll give B. It's okay. It's very niche. Like, it's good on, like, the Pokemon that it's good on, it's very good on. Like, it's very good on Comfey, for example. It's good on close combat Lucario. It's good on certain defenders. Like, it's good on Clefable. It's good on Wigglytuff. I realize those are supports, but you know what I mean. It's okay on a lot of Pokemon. So yeah, I think it's more decent than it is niche, which is where I have these two items. And then Goal Getter is absolute garbage. To make Goal Getter good, you would have to give it like a 25-second cooldown. Like, you have to give the lowest cooldown in the game, and then it still might even be good. But if it had like a 30-second cooldown, you do it all the time, yeah, Gold Getter would be good then. But as it stands, it's like a 75-second cooldown. Just, I'd rather have my eject. I don't know. Gold Getter's awful. Don't run it. So there is my tier list. If you missed any of the Pokemon, boom, there it is. And then the items are there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to let me know what you agree and disagree with in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to reply to those. And I will catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Take it easy.